Hello, everyone. This is Rod Larson from Shopley, joined by Stacy Vasilovich. Hi, Stacy V. How are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
Doing great. Nice to have you on as always.
Well,
Uh,
thanks for
Go
having
ahead.
me.
Yeah, we may be joined by our partner, Nick Sarnicola. It is his birthday today, so everyone reach out and send him a text or a chat online or something and say happy birthday to him. He may be joining us here in a minute to say hello. But here, let me give you guys the lay of the land for 2 seconds. And meanwhile, jump on the Q&A and give us a text. Tell us where you're joining us from. And if you care to, give us the name of your brand, and we'll certainly bring that up on the call here in a second. So let me give you a little bit of the lay of the land, what we'll go over. And today, let's see, we're at about 2 minutes after. We're going to wait for another minute or so. First part of this call, literally going to go through some back office and contract related stuff. So everyone kind of knows how things currently stand. There's going to be some of you that are probably a step or two into that process, a few of you that are not. So we'll go through all of that and make sure that everyone's on the same page and you know where to find your answers. So again, this is Rod Larson. I'm going to jump into the Q&A and welcome a few folks. Hello, Kentucky, Lexington. Thank you. Hi, Melissa. Nice to have you here. And Melanie, great. We're going to go through some of the. I love this from Florida. I think it's Angelica. She is her biggest fan. Love it. Okay, bring it on. Folks, take another second. We've got a group of vendors joining us tonight and some high-end influencers, perhaps with their vendors, so they can share some time together and have a mutual understanding on what needs to happen here in the Shopley back office as you're setting up as a vendor. So if you can say hi for a quick second, Stacy, I'm going to go pull up a browser so that I can jump right into the back office and show people around a little bit.
Yeah. Well, thanks for being on, you guys. We really appreciate it. So the front half of today, like Rod said, is going to be more geared towards some of the newer vendors that maybe don't have their store published yet. So we're going to go through some basics with you guys, and some different things that just so you know what to expect. Maybe some of the quick, oh, was I frozen there for a second? My internet's been.
I hear you just fine. I wasn't
Okay,
looking at your
perfect.
picture, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so we'll just go through some of the things, some of the pitfalls, and common questions that a lot of the vendors have to get you guys up and running. And, at the very minimum, make sure you guys kind of poke around. You're going to learn by looking, and there's, in the doc section, there is a pretty expansive list of different looms and different tutorials that have been filmed for you guys. Be aware that a few of the interfaces have changed on the dashboard as we've made some improvements. So if something looks slightly different, it might be in a different place. Like some of the e-learning has been refreshed a little bit, but the actual buttons themselves and what they're named and what they do and the function of them is all still the same. So just know that if it says training content, the button might be in a different place, but it's still the same button. All of those things are still very consistent. It's just the interface of it has been slightly refreshed. So the video, as tech evolves and improves, our videos get outdated, semi-frequently. So we try to refresh them when we can, but just know that you may be seeing slightly of a different interface depending on when the tutorial was shot.
Awesome. So I'm back with you. Going to say one last hello to some folks in Tennessee. Thanks for joining us. Give us a chance to say hi to if you'd like. Go ahead and put your name in the Q&A, and we're happy to do that. Let's see. I think there might be one more I'm missing. Yeah. Hi, Mark from Baton Rouge. Thanks for joining us from Louisiana. And I think, Mark, you probably need to reach out to Stacy from last week as well and talk about perhaps
Yep.
tomorrow night's call. So if you haven't done that, do that. Awesome.
Yep. He's good to go for tomorrow.
All right, fantastic. Okay, so I'm going to jump in and share screen. Give me 1 second. And we're going to go through a test account that we have set up. So real quick, Stacy, can you confirm you see the screen?
Yep, you're good.
All right, we're going to use this test account to kind of show everybody just some core basic things. Again, many of us on this call are going to be at different levels. So the intent here is to kind of start at the base level so everyone sees the basics again at a very high pace. And this should be able to help you. So what I've done here is I have logged in. This is what we call impersonating. So I am impersonating the person who set up our test account. And that would be my colleague Jorge. So I'm impersonating him. This is the way we look at your account exactly as you would see it. So each of you should imagine that you've logged into your back office, and I'll show you, I'll go back one page here and show you. So you would have logged in right here, right? And just clicked up here on login, which I already did, put the credentials in for this test account, and then I would have landed in this position right here. Right here where we're looking is what I would have seen. Okay, I'm in. I can see that I'm logged in up here. So now I'm going to go to the dashboard as a vendor because I'm going to start working on some products. Okay, so as a very quick reminder to you, the two important things for you to look at initially are going to be right here. The most important things are going to be right here. So you're going to start, you'll click on vendor onboarding, and there'll be a list of tutorials that Stacy mentioned a moment ago, and not the least of which is, for example, an overview of the agreement. Some of you might have some questions on the agreement as it sits right now. And so the basics of that agreement sit right here in this overview. So you just want to click through and go to it. Very simply, the agreement is you own the products, we own the platform. Our people would like to sell your product. You're agreeing to come onto the platform for a fee of $79 or $99 a month, and we'll put all of your offers up there. You maintain that you have ownership of the product and the rights to sell it. We maintain that we have ownership and ability and the rights to sell on our platform. We have a few fees that we assess on the transaction. But as it sits right now, pretty much every vendor coming in is coming in on a token so that they can come in at a very deep discounted price during beta. And so in terms of shipping and receiving, you set your shipping, you set your price points, you set everything else. We simply handle the money when the transaction happens. And then 21 days after the transaction, we transfer the money to you. And that's the latest date. It could be sooner. If it's a physical product and it's been received, or that gives us time as well for a digital or an e-learning product to make sure that the customer is happy. And then we send you your gross profits. And on your behalf, we send out all of the commissions you've set to the customers that bought your product, your e-learning, or your digital service. So those are the basics behind the contract. Again, the full language for the contract is in your contract itself, which as a vendor, you should receive a link, an invitation to the link to the contract, and all it will be is a contract. You'll have a link to the dashboard that shows just the contract and allows you the ability to put your corporate name in there, your personal name, all the required information, do an e-signature, and then I receive notice that it's been signed, and then we push live if you haven't been live before at that date. The rest of the documentation that you need is here for you to understand. Specifically, we're going to go straight to the business verification guide. You need to understand what KYC means, know your customer as a banking term, and what these requirements are. Now, most of this is US-based requirements, but if you are in another country where you have set up your business, we need similar docs. Now, the changes on our KYC are very simple, but they're great. We don't have to do the full KYC on the overall company and every shareholder member that owns more than 25%, which we used to have to do. We've relaxed those guidelines to the point where, as a new vendor, what you need to submit are my personal social security number. If you are the majority shareholder or the manager of that entity, whether that's a digital learning company, an LLC, an S Corp, or a sole proprietorship, the majority shareholder, the sole proprietor themselves, the manager of that entity needs to submit their KYC information. That KYC information for all of those is right here, okay? What is your full name? What are your social security number? All of those basics are here. For the company, it needs to be this. So if you're a company that has an EIN number, which is the IRS's US manner for tracking your sales and your employment, your employee records, things like that, you'll need to have those types of things: a legal address, the entity name, the EIN document. If you're an external company, you will need what's called a W-8BEN, which takes the place of your EIN document. So there's all of those details are here, okay? So you can find that here, you can gather them up, and then you simply go back to your back office and submit them. We're going to jump into that portion of the back office for you because for all new vendors specifically, this is the most important thing to start, because this puts the entire Shoply corporate team into motion. Okay, so when you submit something here, we see it. So you go to profile settings, verification is what we need to go to. After you click on settings here, you click on verification here. And then here is where you see the document request that you need. Now, this is a test account. We haven't submitted any documents for this test account. But when you read through this and you read through the documentation in the docs portion of the back office, it will tell you what to submit here. And you will simply go to this arrow here, this little caret, and you will click on it and you'll search for the file on your laptop or on your desktop, and it would work on your phone if you had the file on your phone, and you would upload it and submit it, okay? The minute you submit these documents, and there are, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 documents or bits of information that you need to submit. Once you submit them, our team automatically receives notice of that, and they start the process for KYC. When they start the process for KYC, then we know that we can start the process for all of the other corporate banking information, product uploading, checking with you on your shipping, things like that. So once we know that started, then we know you're in the flow. Okay? So those are the basics there. One of the most important things that is typically difficult for vendors to set up, and we'll kind of go top to bottom, is shipping. We want to make sure that you set up your shipping on a very basic but very precise manner. Okay, so what you would do is once you're past the dashboard links into the actual back office for a vendor, you're going to go obviously to shipping. Okay, when you click on shipping, you're going to see a chart of different regions and or countries. Now, this is something we at a corporate level can adjust. An example of that was at one time the EU market included every EU country, but we had one vendor that said, I would like to have a different set of rules specifically for Italy, even though it is in an EU market, right? So we broke out Italy for that vendor. So now if you were selling in the EU, you would click here and you would configure this. And if you wanted also to sell in Italy, you would click here and configure that. We're going to go through how that works right now. So we'll just choose EU. And when that comes up, right now it's going to say you don't have a method. If you're a brand new vendor setting this up, this is what you will see. You click on Add Shipping Method. Right now, there's 3 options. We do have some vendors in Australia who live in a very tight community that have a local pickup, right? Where people make the purchase, they complete the purchase, and then the product essentially sits in a will call state, right? For the customer to go to the vendor's shop or home or whatever and do a local pickup. That is an option. It's not widely used. It certainly shouldn't be used unless you think that your customers are only going to purchase from your city or area where they could pick up. There are a few vendors also doing free shipping. Those are typically digital or high-tech products or artwork or jewelry, things that the vendor feels they would prefer to just build the shipping in. In my opinion, it's usually better in this day and age to create the full in price with shipping built in if you can, but it's not always possible, right? It's not always possible. And what's very, very important is if you're not selling it with shipping in at a different price on a different platform and you're adding shipping, which raises the price here, of course, customers and influencers and affiliates, they're very savvy. They're going to find the product for sale. So your pricing needs to be in parity with other pricing for your products that you have on other locations, even your own website. But if you're able to, then incorporate some shipping in there. But now, most of us are using flat rate. So we're going to click on flat rate. We're going to add that shipping method to this European zone. Okay, now that's added. Okay, now you can see there's a flat rate, but we need to go in and configure that flat rate. Okay, so we click on configure, and now you see what tends to scare some folks away, but it's really quite simple. I'm going to explain the core basics on how bulk flat rate can work, okay? So you've seen me highlight this little equation here. I'm going to put it in this shipping option spot for the classes 2 or 3 times, okay? And I'm going to show you the variations. So let's assume, hang on for 1 second. Let's assume that your product that you're promoting on Shoply is a product like this of gummies. Okay, these happen to be my wife's vitamin gummies that she uses. Okay, let's assume that that's it. And let's assume that each one of those gummies, if somebody bought that separately, would cost you as a vendor maybe $5 to $7 to ship. Okay, so let's set this up in a way that could work for you. If I was doing it, I would say, if it's $5, I would set this as a base rate at $3, okay? And then I would go down here and I would say, in case somebody just buys one bottle, I need to have a shipping class 1 for single purchases. So I'm going to set this at $2. And that $2 is going to say, for every quantity that they buy, it's going to add another $2. So for the first order of one bottle of these gummies, right, you're going to be charging a $3 plus $2 or $5 total for the shipping. But if they buy 2 bottles, now you're going to be charging 3 plus 2 times 2. Okay, so now you're getting $7 for those 2 bottles. So you would, when you set up the product, you would choose, if it's all singles, you would just say shipping class 1 for any single of that. Okay, for any single of that, you would set that. Now, some of you would have product, let's say, in an assortment, right? You might have, in fact, I'm certain that there's a vendor on today that's got a lot of wonderful sauces and cooking ingredients, and they sell, I know they sell some of those in an affiliate bundle, or they sell them in a grouping or an assortment. Let's say that there's 4 bottles in there. Okay, if that 4-bottle deal costs you, let's say, 4 times 5, 20-ish bucks to ship that total, then you would still leave this here and you would say to yourself, okay, the additional on top of that for that specific type of product, I'm going to say is, let's just put it at $15. We say it's $18 to ship that assortment of 4 bottles. Okay, that would mean that anytime somebody buys, again, they could buy in the same purchase one of the singles, which would cost them $3 plus 2, and they could buy one of the assortments or one of the bundles, which cost them $3 plus 15, which is 18. And so then it would start totaling up all of that shipping. Okay. And then let's say that you can buy everything we got in one big bundle, and you think that that's going to cost you $25 to ship. Then you would say $3 base, $22 for each unit that they purchase of that one SKU. And that's how you do your shipping. Okay. Pretty basic, pretty simple. There are other things you can do. A few customers have asked me, what about minimums and maximums? You can do that. We only have one vendor that is doing that, and they're choosing to do that in a foreign market because they want to make sure that if a purchase is happening in a foreign market that they will ship to, that the amount of product purchased is big enough so that the shipping price is not so high per product. And it also offsets totally, they're willing to offset with some of their margin, okay? So you can use this same equation, you would copy it out. It's pretty simple. You would just simply say, adding this amount, a fee amount, if there's a $10 minimum fee or $20 maximum fee of purchase, all right? We're not gonna go through this today because it is quite specialized and very few are using it, but this is the common way to do it. Flat rate, everything has to be listed as taxable, and then here's the base cost, and then here's the multiples methodology for doing it in a single, a 4-pack, and a everything included pack. Okay, always go down. Now here's one other choice you can make. You can say, I want you to charge for each separate shipping class individual. Or I know that one of my customers bought the big pack and they bought 5 bottles of the other. I'm willing to eat that shipping. So it would just say, I only want to charge the highest shipping class per order. Usually people are leaving it in the per class. You have to save the shipping method. If you don't save it, it will not be there for you to choose a shipping class. Or if you try to choose a shipping class, it will not charge shipping rates, and therefore you will be responsible to ship the product for free to the customer or to refund the money, either one. So always save shipping. Now, because we're talking about shipping and products, we're going to go straight into some product stuff so that we can see. Let's see, I wonder. Yeah, we'll go into products and we'll set up a product in here. Just super easy, focus mostly on the shipping side, okay? So let's go here. Hopefully it's spinning. There we go. We're going to add a product here. So here we go. We don't have any products. We're going to add one. Top right corner, I'm adding a product, okay? It's going to give me a window to do that. It's a simple product, physical product. It is taxable. And all US products have to say taxable, okay? Minimum quantity, we're not going to worry about that. Grouping, we're not going to do that. But yes, this is what I have. I would upload an image right here, okay? I would have multiple images here that I could upload to choose from. I could set my categories here. I could say, okay, this is apparel, okay? And I'm going to tag it. Let's go back and choose something that's a little easier to work with the different types of tags that are right there. So let's go beauty, health, and supplements, okay? And then I'm going to go here and I'm going to say, okay, so we have way too many tags here, folks. We don't need to add every tag. Like if you're in there and you're adding a tag that says this, probably not the right tag, okay? What you want is keyword tags, okay? So if there's not a tag that works for you, then let's go in and let's make sure that you put one in, but make sure that it works for you for what you're doing. Let me just see if I can find, I'm gonna just use brew. Let's assume it's a coffee or something, okay? So here we go, it's coffee. That's how I set it up. I'm gonna say, my coffee is great. And then I'm going to, in the short description, I'm going to say my coffee gives me energy. Okay. And then I'm going to look at that and say, okay, that's a good start. There's an image, a couple images here. I got some tags. I got the information. Now I'm going to call it, okay, test. Oops. Test coffee. All right. So when I think I've got that right, what do I need to do? I always need to save it. Now, once you are a vendor that's been approved and published the very first time, you will have what's called self-publishing rights. Okay, so we do that. This account already has self-publishing rights. Until you are a vendor that's approved, you save it as a draft. We will take it as our initial review, look at it and say, these are all great products, no worries, no claims, no FDA issues, whatever. We're good. We would accept all of your products that you've put in. We would turn them from that into review. And from review, we would publish them for you. And then we would turn on your ability to publish. So in this account, you have the ability to do it. You simply go in here and say, save it for review. So it did save it. Okay. Right now it's working through that. Now that's done. Now, if I want to set the pricing, I'm going to say, usually my coffee costs $30 a bag. Okay, that's the MSRP, but I'm going to do a little deal. I'm going to say it's $25 a bag, and that's the sale price. That's beneficial because there's a discount from there to there. It makes it feel like the customers, just by virtue of coming onto Shoply and seeing your product, get a discount. Okay, now this is one of the most important parts of what we're working through here. So we want to make sure a couple of things are true. We want to make sure that you understand that this price right here is your total revenue that will be generated from the sale. And this amount here is the total amount that you are willing to commission to our teams for the sale to happen. Now, we will show you how that works, but this is your total amount. For easy math, I'm going to say it's $9, okay? $9 is what I'm willing to commission on the product of 25 bucks. Okay, so then I turn around and say, how much of that do I want to go to the person who made the sale? And in this case, on the very first front end, I think I might set it at $6, right? Because I want the sale to happen. I want to gather the customer. It will default the remaining $3. Okay, so this goes, let's say that I have the product and Stacy sells the product. This amount goes directly to Stacy for making the sale. But Stacy was referred by Steve, who was referred by Lisa, who was referred by Sherry. Okay, all of those folks make up a tree of individuals that created the potential sales. So we call that the marketplace, and you need to commission the marketplace a minimum of 20%. So I'm going to leave it at 3, 6 for the seller, 3 for the marketplace. We don't get any of that as a company. Now I'm going to go back through this order and I'm going to say, I like keeping my customers, so I'm willing to give the commission out on an ongoing repeat order basis, but I'm going to flip it. I'm going to flip it because now I have the customer, and the affiliate should be very happy to get an ongoing revenue stream after the first order. But the tree is the one you really need to make sure is taken care of then. So we're going to flip it so the tree gets $6 on that order, because now they're driving more teams and more affiliates to you. All right. Now, I see a problem here. There's a problem here because I don't see what your fees are, right? And we need to make sure that it's set up in the right category. So if it wasn't set up in the right category, we're going to go in and add a category to it to make sure that it's a billable category, okay? Because all of our vendors have a little split on the transaction. For us at Shoply, that's the only way we make money, is have a little transaction fee. We give all of the commissions you set to the customer, okay? So now we're going to go back in on this test coffee, and hopefully we've set it right. If not, we're going to skip past it and we'll do it again later so we can keep time moving. Let me check my clock. We're about halfway into it. Okay, so I've erased everything when I did that. So we're just going to go back in and go 30, super fast. Okay, I'm going to go 9. Okay, I'm going to go 6. 9 again. And 3. Now, I will make sure later that this is there, but you need to have selected a category that is highlighted for a rate for shipping. But we're going to go past this for a second because we want to do it for the sake of time. This is really, really critical. The next step is always save it. So we're going to save it again. And then we're going to go into inventory. Now, this is critical. This is really, really critical for you, because let's remember that we set up your shipping already. So we want to match it to where you're going to ship that product. And if you'll recall, we set that up in the EU. Now, we are working on a project that should go live in the next week or so. And that will make it so that similar zones for countries or regions like the EU or Greater China or Southeast Asia, those will be regionally set within here. But for the sake of doing this, for this example, you want to sell to specific countries because we're only shipping in the EU. Now I'm going to set about 5 of these, okay? Okay, there's 27 to set, okay? But you're just going to go in and you're going to set them like this. In the future, we'll be able to set EU, and then you can delete any markets within the EU that you don't want to ship to, okay? So you're just going to select them. I'll stop with these, even though I should do 27 of them. Okay, but here we go. I got 3 of my EU countries, and I need to have it set that way because if I click on sell to specific countries, what happens if I don't click on any country here, then your products will show up on a search in every country. But then when the customer goes to put in their information for shipping, oh, I like that sauce, I like that gravy, I like that food, I like that clothing, I want to buy it, boom, boom, boom. They go in, and if you haven't set the countries up to where you can actually sell based on your shipping zones, when they get to the end of the purchase where they have to put their address in, after having gone through the cards and everything else, it will say, oh, it's not available in your market. That's why this is so critical. Okay, you've got to set this, and you have to save it, folks. If you don't save it, it will go away. So you set all of the countries, then you send it for review. That's your way of saving it, okay? And now we're going to jump into shipping so you can see what it looks like, okay? So last thing for shipping, you have a bunch of products. Let's just remember, I've got my test coffee up here, and I'm going to assume that that test coffee is about the same size as this jar of gummies. So I'm going to go in there, I'm going to say, I want that to go in shipping class 1. You'll remember we configured our shipping class 1 to be $3 base plus $2 per unit purchased. So if people buy my test coffee, for the first one, I'm getting $5 shipping. For the second one, I'm getting all in $7 shipping, as we described. That's how I check my shipping. So other than that, everything is perfect. I can add more information here, do everything else here, but my shipping is set up according to the zones. Everything is saved. Clicking on saving again. Okay. So once you're there, everything is up. You can do a preview. Now I don't have a product image here, but if I did have an image, it would look like this. Here's my test coffee. My coffee gives me energy. Okay. And then there's a description down here, the long description. My coffee is great. All of those places I would have added more information. I am currently logged in as an Influencer Pro, so it shows me all of the deal memos, exactly what the offers are. If I had a picture of coffee mug here, you'd see my product. So there you are. Now you've gone in, started your verification, started to set things up in your back office, started to set a product up, set your shipping zones and your shipping configurations, and then you set your company inventory for where you're shipping out of your, it's called a warehouse, for your countries that you're going to ship to. And now you're set. So when this does get published, if I do a search on any of those 3 countries, I will see my test coffee as a product there behind my tile and behind my banner. Okay. So those are some basics right there. Stacy, I'm going to reach back to you real quick here in just a second to see if you feel that I've missed anything that might be useful for the bulk of the members here that are on the Zoom with us to kind of go through the basics.
No, that was an amazing overview. I think we definitely need to just condense that into one training and put that onto the dashboard as well as an additional one, because I think that was a great overview of all the different things that they might find challenging when they first start to set up their physical store for physical products. The only thing that I will add on there that I think is important if you're going to be doing digital products, because I've ran into this a couple times in the past couple weeks, is if you are doing any kind of digital deliverable, so like a PDF or an ebook or anything like that, at the very, very top of the first page, you'll need to check the box that says download. Downloadable, I think is what it's called. And when you do that, that tells our system that there's a digital asset that needs to be uploaded and then delivered. So right there, downloadable. And when you check that box, you'll see it will enable another portion where you add the file. And so it's super important if you guys do any kind of digital assets that you include that there. Otherwise, what happens is people will purchase and they won't have any access to the product that you sold them. And so then you won't have to email it out. So it's not something that you have to follow up on. It makes it super, super simple. They can just download it from the system once you guys upload it directly here, and it's earmarked as downloadable and digital. So one thing just to make sure you don't miss, if that is what your wheelhouse is digital projects.
Great add on there. Another thing to note is some of you will have services that are virtual services, whether that's a coaching scenario or whatever. You would click on virtual here, okay, and make sure that that's there so that your people know that your product is a session, it's time, it's virtual, and that would also be the case for those that are perhaps an app, a subscription to an app, a third-party app. So you would set that as virtual. They would, as a vendor, they would make the purchase. You would see the purchase in your feed. In 3.0, that will be API directly to you. So you'll be able to just push it right out and propagate that. But as it sits right now with a virtual product like an app subscription or a coaching session or whatever, those will be there, and you will see the order. And then if it's coaching, you would have to get a hold of that customer, set up the schedule, all of that. If it's an e-learn or if it's an app subscription, you will have the information you would need to propagate the authorization codes for that customer. You would email it to them from what you're given and go from there. So that's how we're working it right now during beta 2.0, and 3.0 is going to have things all API driven for you. Okay. So that's it right there. Stacy, I think we're past the 30-minute window. We should by now have some other vendors that have joined us that are brand new vendors. And I know that you wanted to take a minute and introduce new members of the team, let them get to know them a little bit. So I'm going to pass the call back to you, but I'll stick with you and I'll be able to help you in whatever way I can.
Yeah, so I'm going to just talk about them. They're not actually going to be on the call today, but we have expanded the marketing and marketing team at Shoply. And what that means for you guys is there will be some new things. And I think we either teased it or talked about it last week. Nick did. or 2 weeks ago, actually, because we didn't have the call last week, that we were in the process of either hiring or had hired for that position. And what that means for you guys is that there's going to be some things built out that will help you guys get out more and have a bigger presence. And so the goal for all of us is to make sure that we have a presence on all the major platforms, communities that drive the right behaviors, that have an environment and a place for, customers to go and see what new brands are coming. So we're going to be building out like a Facebook community for our influencers, for our affiliates, potentially for our customers, that then all of the UGC content, promos, the things that you guys submit to us will then flow into those communities as well, and earmarked depending upon the audiences and targets of the people who they're designed for. And the idea of this is to give you guys as much exposure as we can for your brand, based off of the content that you give us, based off of the user-generated content, and give it the best chance of giving you guys the best bang for your buck based off of, what you're creating. If it's a promo or you're launching a new product with us, please always make sure to announce that. Even if you just add a product, shoot a quick tutorial, even if it's a static image or, someone wearing it, whatever you guys can do, and announce that for us. Give us a short little blip in the Telegram, and we'll link it and we'll push it out for you guys. So our goal is to get you guys as much exposure as possible if you can get us the content that we can share. And that's part of what the marketing team will do. The other piece that we're implementing this week that hopefully you guys saw is the newest way for you guys to sign up for the Vendor Education Zoom. And what it is it's going to be a link for you guys on Sign Up Genius. And it allows you guys to add yourselves to and sign up for the dates that work for your schedule. We're asking for right now that you guys only sign up for 1 quarter at a time. And so we've only opened the registration for this quarter. And then once we get through this, we'll open the registration for the next quarter. So please just do 1 for right now during this quarter if you have not been on a Zoom previous. If we have open slots because we don't have enough people, what we'll do is we'll open it up for other people and let you guys know the week of, hey, we've got an open slot. And if you want to jump on, if we've given it, a fair chance at everybody and no one signed up for it and you've been on before and you want to go on again, we'll definitely take new vendors or vendors that have previously been on once we've given the new vendors a shot to be exposed and get a chance to be a part of the Vendor Education Zoom. With that, what you're going to see is each of our recordings from those particular Zooms, and we're going to go back and do all the archive that we have as well, are going to be segmented, not as one lump sum, but pulled apart as to just your section about your brand. And those will get uploaded onto our YouTube channel in a separate playlist with your brand name on the thumbnail so that people will be able to have a little bit of an easier time finding the information about just your brand. What I would highly suggest you guys to do is once those are published, they'll have a public URL for YouTube. You should go in and grab that share link off our YouTube channel and populate that back into either your training tab or your store, wherever you seem fit based off of what you've discussed. So utilize the content after you've been on our Zooms to populate back into your store to get as much training and content in there for the customers, affiliates, and influencers so that they know how to sell and how to talk about your brands. And so if you go into the vendor group, you'll see the link there, and it's a link to the Google Doc. What I'll do is let me share really quick and show you.
Okay.
So let me pull it right here. So this is the Google Doc, and it just gives you guys a little bit of basic information, some qualifiers, how many slots, 10 to 12 minutes per vendor. And then you can actually click on this link here to sign up for the slot itself. And just the information. We will be utilizing this Gmail now because it's linked to everything that we're pushing out. And so the panelist links, if you have any questions about, if you have a secondary person that you want it on the Zoom with you. So if, let's say, you have someone from your marketing team and you want them to be on with you, send us an email and we'll send them a panelist link the same week of. If you have any other questions in terms of the Zoom, we'll send out a template for you guys the night before so that you know exactly what to expect, what time to get on, all of those kinds of things to kind of walk you through if you've never done one of these Zooms before. And again, you can always watch our go to our YouTube channel and watch any of the previous versions to kind of see what people talk about. Rod and I have been doing a lot of the hosting. It's a pretty casual kind of Q&A. We'll have your store up if you want to view your store. We can walk through that. If you have slides, videos, we kind of leave it up to you to decide what best represents your brand and what you feel will help us encapsulate exactly what you're about, and whether it's your story, whether it's, you know, the type of products you use, whether it's your price points, whatever you feel highlights your brand in the best way. That's what we want you guys to talk about, because that's what's going to make an impact for all the people that we're talking with. And when you click the link, this is what it actually looks like. If you've ever used a Sign Up Genius before, it's pretty straightforward. You're just going to go to the vendor, and there's 3 spots available, and you're just going to hit sign up, and it'll sign you up for one of those. It'll ask you a few questions. And the only other thing is just make sure you register the email that you want the Zoom link sent to for your panelist link. That's really important that you use that login if you have a Zoom account, so it recognizes you. Otherwise, it'll send it to whatever email you put in there. But I think that's it. So we tried to keep it as easy for you guys so that you wouldn't have a learning curve on just how to sign up for the vendor Zooms, but it should be pretty easy for you guys. We do also have a wait list. So if you go to a date that's full and you'd like to be waitlisted for that date, please go ahead and sign up, and it should allow you to enter as a wait list. And then if we have somebody that cancels, you'll automatically get bumped in, and an email notification will go out to you to let you know that that you've been moved into the slot and moved up from the wait list. So you never know. People have things that, you know, we already had one person drop off from today. So, you know, things change last minute. Keep an eye out on that thread if you definitely want to get in, and we'll let you know week to week if we have an open slot.
All right, Stacy, thank you so much.
Yeah, you got it.
Everyone, thanks for spending some time with us on this vendor training Zoom. We do this every Wednesday night, and we will continue to send out emails to the vendors that are published or unpublished. We'll send an email out to them so that they know that there's another one going on. We'll continue to highlight specific portions that we see perhaps tripping up some of the vendors, and we want to try to help them with that. We still have a couple of minutes left, about 15 minutes left till the top of the hour. I'm happy to stay on and answer any Q&A questions that you text in, right? So that I can answer them for you if you're on here, and I'll take the question as you write it, and I'll reflect it back to everyone verbally, and maybe do a screen share. So I'm happy to do that with you if you like. And I'll be here again next Wednesday. So let's make sure that if you have any more questions, you would send your questions in after today. You would send your questions in to vendorsupport@shopley.com. Okay, that is vendorsupport@shopley.com. Okay, and that's where you would send those in. We have a team that answers them various types of questions, whether it's a US team, a China team. Also, we have some folks that can handle stuff in Europe. And specifically, we have those that are responsible for KYC and publishing are paying attention to that email as well. Okay, so ready to go. Thank you very much for your time, and I'm going to stick on. Stacy, thanks. I can handle closing out from here if you need to leave, and I'll take whatever questions might pop up here on the Q&A, folks. Thanks.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Rod.
Yeah. First question, what is the response time? Send it again if it's a little bit late. Make sure in your email you make very specific what it is. I need help with X, or just a highlight, shipping module, right? Or contract, or whatever the topic actually is, and be very direct on your question. And then there's a couple of ways this is going to be answered, okay? Because we do have hundreds of vendors lining up as we go, and that number is going to continue to increase. Our entire model is 100% set up on a self-guided tour, right? Now I realize in beta that can be a rough experience sometimes if you've never set up anything on a WooCommerce site, which is the backbone to what we have with all of our custom coding in it, right? So if it's new to you, there's always going to be a learning curve. And the tutorials will always be updated, and the basic framework is always going to be the same. The location of a button here and there may change, but the actual processes are generally speaking going to be the same. Okay, so response time can be quick, especially if you put a very pointed bit of information in the subject line. Typically, their job is to make sure you can at least get into the dashboard and your login is working so that you can get in. And once there, they will answer questions here and there on specific tasks like the ones we went over today, but they will also likely direct you to the tutorials. Okay. There's a question here going about getting an app set up. I need a little bit more information before I can settle up and tell you what I can and cannot do on that. So if you want to type that in, that'd be fine to do. And if I can handle that here on this call, I will do it. You know, having an app set up as a service, something we sell as a digital product or an e-product, if you will, that's not difficult to do. It's as and if you want to look and see, there are a couple of vendors on our website, on the store right now, that have digital products that are membership or app related. The ones that come to mind right now would be Newcalm. There's also, I think, Sitelytic is up, and theirs is an app. I think also there's one for New Health, I think New Way Health, which is an app as well, or a membership, if you will. So you can see the way they set it up. The general terms or the general process for setting up an app would be content, just like anything else. Like wherever you sell your app, you've got a content piece describing that app, a large one, maybe a small one, and pricing and everything else you're set up. But then you'll click the digital, you make it happen there. And then once we get it published, then it pushes through, and it pushes through and makes things happen directly with you with a report for you to propagate that. So on the one that's being asked right now in a virtual app, I'm certain that I've talked with Mike Craig about this. Let's probably need to do this one separately and see if there's a fit and a method for us to do that. Okay. So I got a few more minutes, folks. I note that most of you are still on here. So any other questions, anything on contract, on shipping, on where to find your product orders when they come in, all of those things. Anything else? Autoresponders are in flow right now. I've been working through this. Been very difficult to find the right qualified person to help us, but we got that going on now. So that will be coming up here pretty quick. And so you should be able to rely on emails going from us and not just from you when you do the shipment, which does happen with most every vendor that ships a physical product. All right, I'm looking for a couple more questions. Give you another 30 seconds to start typing. If not, we'll call it a good Zoom, and we'll pick it up again next Wednesday. So going, gone, counting 1, 2, 3 for the last questions. All right. I thank you for your time. I thank you for being a vendor on Shoply and for your belief and interest. Really, really great. Here's one question: upsells for existing clients. All right. So if the question is, do we have an existing customer who is buying a product? Is there a way to do an upsell for that product on your platform? And the answer is yes. Okay. So if I have a product and I want to combine it with another product on the platform that I have, I can do a combination or also a connection, if you will. And I think that's called linking the products together. And there is also the ability to do an upsell within that linking methodology. So so any orders or upsells that happen there, and I know that the person who gave this question is a digital product, in keeping with the group of people that referred the purchase to you, and keeping with the needs and requirements we have to be their broker and protect their needs and interests, all of those upsells need to happen on the Shoply side. So they need to be a product that's in your storefront that is linked together as a potential upsell. Okay. Anyway, this is Rod, and it's been fun to spend time with you. It's coming up on 10 minutes till. That gives you a break before the top of the hour for any future Zooms you have tonight. Wish you the best, and we'll be on with you again next Wednesday for this call, and I'm certain before that for other Zooms. Rod Larson is out. Thanks very much. Talk to you later.